In today's episode, you'll learn about the benefits of YouTube advertising, including where to start and what mistakes to avoid. Let's take it to the next level. Hi everyone, I'm Carl. Welcome to Next Level Video Marketing, a channel where you get the latest strategies and tips to help you achieve your marketing and business goals through video. Now remember, if this is your first time on this channel and you want to get the latest strategies to maximize the impact of your videos, hit the subscription button below, hit the little notification bell so you don't miss anything. So today I'm joined by Ryan Romanowski, YouTube and actually paid media expert, and we're going to talk about YouTube advertising for small business. So Ryan, let's take it right from the very beginning. If I was a small business and you were advising this small business, where would we start in terms of YouTube advertising?
It's a great question. So I would suggest starting small. Start with a small budget that you're comfortable with, probably a few $100s, but that can be a little bit more, depends on what makes the most sense for you. And then what you want to do is you want to try and generate enough awareness in the form of video views to be able to retarget in the future. So effectively what you're doing is you're building a stronger audience on YouTube, and you're going to be able to leverage that more in the future.
So you said a lot of great stuff there, but let's break it down a bit. So first of all, you mentioned, let's start very basic. Does it matter if you're either business to business or business to consumer, or we're still doing the exact same thing?
It's a great question. I think awareness and conversion are obviously the two stages that you're going to be focused on. Whether you're B2B or B2C, you need to be able to be fulfilling and succeeding in both of those. Regardless of the product or service that you're selling, if you don't have strong awareness and you're not leveraging YouTube properly to convert, you're not going to be successful. So it doesn't really matter. What matters more is the production and the content of the video and the offer itself, more so than worrying about if you're B2C. Because as long as you're targeting it correctly, as long as you're targeting your video correctly, you're going to be successful.
And can we go back to when you mentioned awareness, and then you also mentioned retargeting. So let's go back to awareness, and because right now for me, I work in B2B, but I've also worked in B2C and have many clients in small business B2C. And I think you're onto a good point, because essentially awareness is, you want people, especially if you're just starting out and people don't know, your company, you need people to know that you exist, right? Like you're a restaurant or a new plumbing company or whatever it is that you have a product or service. You obviously need people to be aware, right?
Yes.
And it's kind of the same tact as what you would in paid media, like in paid social, like Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever, because you're not expecting people to buy right away, right? You want people to know who you are. And then once they know who you are, then that's where, like you mentioned, you retarget them. You want them to go back to the website, or you want them to remember what you do. So when they are ready to make that purchase, guess what? You're top of mind, right? Or you're like,
yeah, hey, that's a big part.
And this is something that we can definitely do on YouTube, right?
Of course. And it's really knowing where you're at with your customers in the funnel. So if they're not really aware of who you are, you really should focus more on awareness. There's no point trying to convert customers and having this offer if they're not ready for it, right? And that goes for, everything well beyond just YouTube. If they're not a warm audience and you're hitting them with an offer that doesn't make sense, you can't really expect them to convert. That being said, if your audience is warmed up, if they know who you are, if they're engaged with you already, YouTube can be a great place to convert that audience as well. As long as your video is very engaging and has a strong offer, and you can test it, ensure that it converts, there's no reason why you can't generate huge amounts of sales or whatever your objective is off of YouTube.
So let's really focus on YouTube then. Let's say we have awareness-based YouTube ads, right? Like, what type of videos should you be producing? Should it be a simple introduction to your business? Should it be more of like a how-to video? What kind of awareness type videos would you recommend?
So really the goal with an awareness ad is to, one, engage your audience, and two, really do a great job of showcasing what your product is so that they're familiar with you and they're familiar with what you're selling them.
So I actually have a great video on how to use video funnels that you can apply to YouTube, and I'll leave that up here in the description below. Ryan, when we talk about like these types of videos, right? So obviously you want a product type video showcasing your business or your service. So let's talk about the types of advertising on YouTube, which may impact the type of videos that you create from an awareness standpoint, right? So what are the types of videos that you can create for YouTube advertising?
So there's about 5 different types of ads you can run on YouTube. And I'll start with the most common one, which is what I like to call a skippable in-stream ad. So what this is it's an ad that shows up in another video on YouTube. And it can be really any length you want. The important part to know is that you're going to be billed based on a cost per view basis. And a view is classified as 30 seconds of watch time. And the other important thing to note is that a person can skip your ad after 5 seconds. So this is a general YouTube ad, one that you've probably seen many times, and it's really great for any objective. That takes me to the next type of ad, which is a non-skippable in-stream. So think of, again, your ad showing up in a YouTube video. The big difference here is that you're limited to 15 seconds instead of it being really as long as you want. And you're being actually billed on a CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions basis. So no longer are you paying for a 30-second view, but rather you're paying for the amount of impressions that you're actually getting out of that ad. So this is really a great opportunity to generate awareness, more so than convert, because again, it's a message that they're going to have to see if they're trying to engage with a YouTube video on the platform. They're going to be showing your ad, they won't be able to skip it. So that's a great opportunity for generating excellent awareness. This takes me to the next type of video, which is somewhat similar, but quite a bit different in the sense that it's a lot shorter. It's called a bumper ad. So what this is a short 6-second video that appears in stream, and like the previous ad I mentioned, the unskippable in-stream, this is also unskippable. It's quick 6 seconds, build on it, cost per 1,000 impressions basis, same as the unskippable in-stream ad. And this is just really great for short, quick branding messages.
So let me just interrupt you there in terms of that bumper. Does that only play at the beginning of a video, or does that play also in the middle of a video?
So the bumper can display really anywhere an in-stream ad can display. So it should be able to be displayed really anywhere throughout the video. The key thing is that it's only 6 seconds versus like 50.
And when you talk about the skippable in-stream, the question, is that at the beginning or throughout the video as well?
So anytime when I mention in-stream, it can really be anywhere throughout the video. So there are different places where YouTube really likes to put ads. Obviously, like a pre-roll ad, they love to put ads before you actually start watching the video. But oftentimes, especially if it's a longer video, what YouTube will do is they'll inject ads within the content itself, right? Because they know they have your attention and YouTube wants their ads to perform well.
So yeah, you were saying there was 3. What was the other 2?
So the other 2 types of ads, these are a little bit different. I'll start with one that's really designed for big purchases, big media buyers, big businesses. It's called a masthead ad. And what this is it's like a YouTube takeover. So think of an auto-playing video at the top of the YouTube app feed or homepage. I'm sure you've seen it. Oftentimes it's done by big brands just because it is so expensive. It's really great for awareness because, again, you're literally taking over YouTube, but it also has to be booked directly through Google because it is so expensive. So not really a great option if you're a small advertiser just getting started, but if you want that extra awareness and you want to really ensure that you're capturing a large audience, it's a great option. And then the last option, the last type of ad is a video discovery ad. And what this is it's a thumbnail of a video that you're trying to advertise that appears around videos on YouTube. When I say around, I mean like anywhere from the search results page on YouTube, the home page, next to the videos when they're about to autoplay. And the key thing to remember here is you're charged when a user clicks on the thumbnail. Not usually, well, you're not going to be charged when it's per view because they're trying to click through. I generally don't usually recommend this type of ad, generally because it's just not proven to be as effective as the in-stream options, even the Masthead, because it's really more of almost like a display ad, right? Either they're looking at that, you have to get them to click through. It's not really about that video engagement.
So if you're a small business and you were running how-to ads or product videos, which one would you recommend?
I think there are a few really good options. The number one option I'd suggest would be a skippable in-stream, mainly because you're only going to be billed for your 30-second views anyways. So even if you have a longer video, you can still use it quite effectively as long as it's engaging. The important part to remember is the video has to be engaging, and ideally you have a good offer. Likewise, the other type of in-stream, if you're looking for just strict awareness and you have a great 15-second ad, then this is even better because you're guaranteed that they're going to see all 15 seconds and they have no choice but to watch through it. So if you want that awareness, there's really no better option.
Let's say you do that 15 or 30-second in-stream ad. Should you create a video that's exactly 15 seconds, or should you create a video that's a little bit longer and expect people to keep watching?
If it's a non-skippable in-stream ad, you're not going to be given the option. So you're literally limited to 15 seconds and that's it. So you can forget about having anything longer than that. If you're just showing a regular in-stream video where you're just paying for views, you're doing a cost per view basis, then yes, you can have a very long video. You could have a 1-minute video, for example, or even longer, as long as it's engaging and as long as it's telling a story. Keep in mind, you're trying to get awareness or you're trying to get them to convert. Everything else, whether they watch it for 30 seconds or a minute, as long as they're converting or generating awareness for you to retarget off of, doesn't really matter.
So in terms of, I guess, I would assume the 15-second or the normal in-stream would probably be your best bet because your only people watch the video, right?
Correct. Yeah, the 15 seconds with a standard in-stream ad, you could even A/B test like an unskippable version with the skippable version, right? Maybe you want to try to be billed differently because, of course, the unskippable, you're going to be only billed CPM-wise for impressions. Whereas the skippable, you're going to be billed strictly for views. So maybe you A/B test, right? And if your objective is awareness, you're probably going to try to see, well, which one can I get more views with? Likewise, if you're a small business and you're trying to generate conversions, you might be more interested in bidding on conversions because you can actually do that with the skippable in-stream option. You can actually set up your conversions and then actually go ahead and bid for those conversions.
What's the point where we actually start retargeting? Like, how do we do that on YouTube?
It's a great question. So retargeting can be done through really a few ways. The most common way would be you get people to watch the ad, you generate viewers. If you have a certain amount, usually it's around 1,000 viewers. So 1,000 people, well, I shouldn't say 1,000 viewers, 1,000 people in your audience. You need to be able to have 1,000 unique individuals. For example, if one person watches the video 5 times, that's only one person, right? So you need to have 1,000 users in this list, and then you can retarget them. So might seem like a large number or a small number, depending on what you're looking at. The key thing to remember is it is actually a significant amount of people, and you need to be able to actually have that audience before you can even consider retargeting. So viewers is big. The other important way to retarget, and this can be very effective, is if you have a CRM, you can actually export your audience from there, upload it to YouTube, and then target that directly through a YouTube ad. So that's really great to get awesome engagement and get potentially previous customers purchasing another product with a new offer on YouTube.
Just to go in terms of CRM, that's your customer relationship management tool, which a simple MailChimp all the way to something like a Salesforce, right? And is there a minimum that you can upload?
I don't believe there's a minimum, but the key thing to remember here is that it has to be big enough that it's going to be 1,000 users. So you could upload, 10, but it's not going to really take. So I guess your 1,000 would be your minimum for any sort of CRM upload. If you upload 50, it's not going to help you. Sorry, I just want to get back to retargeting because there's one other big way you can retarget, which I didn't talk about. So another way you can target on YouTube for retargeting is website visitors. So let's say you have your tracking set up, you're analytics tracking, you can then take, your website audience, which is probably pretty well established, especially if you've been driving traffic to your website over a long period of time, and you can actually target your YouTube ads to those people that visit your website as well. So really, those are 3 ways you can retarget to people on YouTube.
So let's recap this. 3 ways to retarget the people who viewed your videos. You can upload into YouTube, like your CRM, and then people who visit your website. Is there such a thing as, because I know in Facebook there's lookalike audiences. Is there such a thing like that on YouTube?
Yes, there is. It's almost the exact same thing. It's called similar audiences on YouTube. And effectively what you can do with this is you can tell Google, hey, this is my retargeting audience, and I want you to find people that are literally similar to them. So that means they share similar interests, they've searched for similar things. Pretty much any way Google can identify them, they look like your existing audience that you already uploaded. So it's a great way to reach people that, of course, aren't familiar with your business, but are likely to become potential customers or at the very least prospects in the future.
We talked about retargeting in terms of all the people who viewed your videos, went to your website, or uploading a customer list. But how about when we're actually doing awareness? How do we target on YouTube, and what are some key recommendations you'd have?
Great question. So there's a lot of ways to target a variety of people on YouTube. One of the most common ways is interests. So when I say interests, it could be, for example, maybe someone's interested in cooking, or maybe they're interested in shoes. Doesn't matter what it is, but really any interest, you can then tell Google, I want to target these people as long as they have that interest, and you'll be able to show your ads to them. You can also target ads on YouTube to people based on their demographic. And this gets actually really, really in depth, well beyond, of course, you have your basic one like age. You can go, of course, also add in gender. But then you can actually get really deep, and you can also target people based on their demographics with regards to, are they a parent or not? Are they married or not? Even stuff like their education and actually home ownership data as well. So if they're a homeowner or if they're just renting. So you have quite a lot of options available to you when it comes to demographics. You can really get very specific on that. You can also do, we kind of mentioned it a little bit with similar, but you can also target people based on Google's data. So have they searched for specific terms on Google? Have they visited specific websites? You can actually pop in a URL on the YouTube ad platform, and you can actually target someone if they visited that website. You can also target based on app usage, travel locations. So there's really a whole bunch of different options. Of course, you can combine them as well. So you could target someone, for example, maybe they are a certain age, certain gender, but also are interested in something, and maybe they have searched up certain terms.
That about YouTube, where let's say somebody searches Nike running shoes, right? Searching it on Google, or maybe a little bit more specific, red Nike running shoes. And if you target that keyword, the next time they're on YouTube, they actually can see your video ad, hopefully about red Nike shoes or whatever kind of product that you're selling, right?
Yeah, or maybe you're a competitor shoe brand, or maybe you just know that your audience is really into running, right? So you don't always have to be very specific to the search term, as long as you know it's a relevant term to your audience. It's a little bit different than search ads where you really are trying to tailor it. This is more about developing that profile and ensuring that the person that you're showing the ad to on YouTube fits part of that broader audience.
I know we talked a lot about the targeting and the types, but awareness versus conversion based, right? Retargeting based. Well, one thing is, what actually makes a good YouTube ad?
Really, a few things make a good YouTube ad. Number one, it needs to be engaging. Oftentimes, this will look like you'll be showcasing your product, and you might have like a promo code in the video, or you might have a really strong call to action for someone to perhaps visit a landing page or take advantage of a special offer. It has to really have those two things. As long as it's engaging and as long as it has a strong offer or call to action, it has the potential to be a very good ad. The thing I want to add to that also, is narration. I've oftentimes found that there's a lot of people that use YouTube solely to watch or listen to podcasts in this case. So they might be listening to a podcast. They may actually not be really looking at the video. So having that extra little bit of narration and audio that actually tells the listener, in this case, what is going on is really helpful, because they're not going to see the video necessarily, but as long as you have that narration, they may, if you're trying to generate awareness, at least be aware of your product.
Actually, the one thing I wanted to go to was, we talked about awareness-based, but is it a good place to run conversion-based ads? You'd imagine YouTube wants you to stay on YouTube, not go to another site, right? To convert or to check out or whatever it is. So if you are selling a product, is it only great for awareness, or how does it perform in terms of conversion?
So YouTube is actually a great platform for conversion. They even oftentimes, it depends on the type of video you're using. A lot of their ad types actually have call to action buttons. So they're very much centered around trying to get this engaged audience that you've ideally developed and getting them to convert. So they're very much not just about generating awareness. They're also about how can we help businesses convert, similar to their other ad offerings on display and on search.
What are some of the mistakes you see that small businesses make when running YouTube ads?
So I would say repurposing content without really keeping in mind that it's going on YouTube. An example of this could be, maybe they have this video that they've used somewhere else, maybe on it could be on a TV ad, or maybe they've just shown it in their sales center, wherever that might be. And then they just think, oh, well, let's just throw it up on YouTube for a YouTube ad and it's going to do well. It might, but it also might not. You have to keep in mind that, again, on YouTube, it goes back to, well, is the ad, is it very engaging? Does it have that narration? Does it effectively showcase the product or service? If the answer to all those is yes, then probably do well, but it might not. So just keep in mind that it's for YouTube is very important. It's also important to remember on YouTube, another mistake I've seen is not having a clear objective. Like if you're on YouTube, you're trying to advertise, let's say you want to convert a specific audience, but your ad really is just catered and it's designed to generate awareness, it's not going to work because you're not aligned. Your ad is only really going to give you awareness. If you're trying to convert them, it's not going to happen. Likewise, the other way around, if you have a very strong conversion ad and you're just trying to generate awareness, maybe you should take a step back and do a better job of showcasing the product versus the offer. So it really depends on what you're trying to achieve there, but those are the two big mistakes that I see.
I remember we talked a little bit about cost effectiveness, but can you tell me more about the cost necessarily to run YouTube ads and maybe compare it against some of the other channels like paid social or paid media?
What makes YouTube very unique is that oftentimes you're billed on a cost per view basis. You're not directly billed on impressions or clicks or anything else like that. So cost per view, and what's amazing is you can really get a 30-second view, because that's what a view is classified on YouTube, for as little as about a few cents to 20 cents. So that's an entire 30 seconds of actual engagement for only a few cents, really, which compared to other platforms that aren't video-centric and video-focused is really cheap, right? So that's one way you can be billed on YouTube. The other way is through CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions. And in this case, you're really trying to go more for conversions. You're not really focused as much on awareness. That's where you use a CPM objective. And a CPM on YouTube is usually around 10 Canadian dollars is pretty standard. So those would be the two ways you can be billed on YouTube.
So if you want to learn more about advertising on YouTube or other paid channels, check out this playlist here, as well as this playlist to learn more about video marketing tips and strategies. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in our next episode.